Hello, love. Welcome. Welcome back, family. Welcome to you if you are new here and just coming across this channel or message for the first time. My name is Eleni, here for the highest and greatest good of what I like to refer to as the Elsh Collective, Empaths, Lightworkers, Starseeds, Healers, Awakened and Awakening Souls. But that also includes all souls, because we are all connected and all one at the end of the day in this unified field of consciousness, whether or not some of us are open to that consciousness or not. Okay, so something very interesting happened before I clocked in a way to start recording this message, and I may even include the little excerpt of the video before that, because I was having issues even trying to record this to begin with. And that is something technically that may be going on right now. This is something that is ongoing with the shifts in frequencies here on Mama Gaia. Solar flares, light codes, all a part of that. The Schumann resonance also shifting. This frequency shift has to do with us. So when I come across little blips like this, I actually get really excited. When things start going wiry and fritzy with technology and whatnot, I actually get really excited. Initially, there's always that sense of frustration when you want to get something done and it's just not happening, and it's taking, like, all of a sudden you're like, what's up? Like, why is this somehow, not working the way it's supposed to be? And then, of course, we like to sort of right at the beginning go, is something blocking this message? We need to really address that, by the way, is what Spirit is saying to me, because there is a lot of indoctrination, even in the spiritual community, around how to read these things. And this is one of the confirmation messages that wants to come through for this particular reading, and something that we're going to be talking more at length about moving forward. I like to refer to them sometimes, funny enough, as the taboos. There's a really interesting, we'll get into it at some point. This message is meant to be, these are confirmation messages that I'm going to be bringing through every 7 days, okay? And this one is a follow-up to the last one. And it's going to be whatever spirit, energies, frequencies, consciousness, and consciousnesses want to bring through for this collective specifically, okay? This is going to really ping for you if you're feeling simply into the energy of this message, whether you were drawn to the title, whatever that might be, because I don't know what it's going to be yet, the thumbnail, whatever it is, there's a reason for you being here. I always say these messages find you and you find them. It is both. And also, these are timely, yet timeless. So they'll ping for you when they will ping for you for some reason, and trust in that and have faith in that, okay? So one of the messages that came through right at the beginning here is the fear that we have of the dark, the fear of the dark. And specifically this fear of the dark being synonymous with the feminine, and especially what has been referred to as the dark feminine. What Spirit is guiding me, and what her energy collectively is guiding me towards, is the energy of death and decay. And by way of that, transformation and transmutation and alchemy. That is what she's saying. And I'm going to be popping from a little deck that I have created for myself. These are channeled messages on behalf of Mάνα Εκάτη, or as she is more commonly known in the English language, Hecate or Hecate, okay? Now, moving forward, I'm going to be doing a lot more to bring her energy through, because I feel personally, this is no reflection on her, and it's interesting. I'm gonna, she's allowing me to say this in a sense. And when I say that, what I mean is there's an energy with her that is incredibly forgiving. And yet I feel that a lot of how she has been interpreted is not that way. And I also understand that people are going to interpret her how they want to. And my aim is to, on the one hand, share my own feelings around it through my own lens of experience here and consciousness, but also to be a clear channel for her to bring through messages to clarify the misunderstandings and the misinterpretations, okay? Ekati, Hecate, I will refer to as Ekati here, or Mάνα Εκάτη. It's the same thing, okay? One thing we do know very well about her is that she sits at the thresholds, and whatever threshold that is for you, liminal space is another term we use to describe that. Twilight, especially, I resonate with her more than I do dusk. Or, I'm sorry, see, I use them synonymously because she's just so much reflected in that energy for me. But she very much, as opposed to dawn, okay? Because she is present at both those times and in those spaces, but her energy is coming through very strongly around endings to new beginnings. And I guess you could say that the dawn is the same thing, right? But she's really wanting to come through right now to talk about this fear of the dark, which we experience. This is funny. She's bringing through specifically that feeling that she's inviting each and every one of us to sit and sink into for a moment here. You know, when it starts to get dark, right? When, and this is very primal is what she's also indicating here, to humanity, to just being a human being and having that experience, right? She's showing me, as the sun goes down and we move into twilight, there is an energy. She's actually bringing this to me now. She's directing me to show or share with you, because this might be something that resonates with you as well. I'm very sensitive to light in the winter, especially when I was living in Canada, because in Canada you could go for weeks on end with just cloudy gray days, and it would become incredibly agitating to me. I would be aware of it, obviously, and I would do the things I needed to do to transmute that. But, I am somebody who feels very much into the presence of light or not, right? And so, and specifically sunlight is what she's saying to me. So when it would start getting darker earlier and we would have the time change where we would fall back an hour, I would get this thing. I'll say the Greek word and then I'll try to explain it in English. It's called psychoplakoma. So psycho comes from the word psyche, which is psyche, right? And one of the ways in Greek that the word psyche is used is to talk about your soul, a soul, psyche, but it also is connected to this idea of psychology. They're one and the same, right? Anyway, that's a whole other topic for discussion. This is one of the reasons why I resonate so much with the work of Carl Jung, because he touches upon that like they're synonymous, right? Plakoma is when something hits you like really strongly, okay? It's the best way that I could describe it. So there's a term for this in Greek, which I think is really interesting. And Greece being very much, literally when you translate the Greek word for the country Greece, Elas or Elada, it is the land of light, right? The land of sun, you could say, right? There's so many ways to interpret that. So it's interesting that in this culture, we have this word for when it starts to get darker earlier and you have what's called this psychoplakoma, it like hits you all of a sudden and you start to feel this sense of depression or, it's the seasonal affective disorder, right? Which is a whole other thing as well, but it is tied into this, okay? So when we begin to feel that, right, there is something there that is reflecting a kind of fear of the dark, this primordial fear of the dark, because in the dark you cannot see anything. In the dark, you may hear stuff, and I'm thinking back to I'm getting like a tribal, the energy of this is interesting. There's an energy here of also what she's showing me simultaneously is this energy of gathering around a fire in community. And a lot of this fear of the dark comes from that because we've become so isolated. Whereas before, this fear of the dark wasn't actually really a fear. It was welcomed because you were in community. You were in, because I'm just getting this energy of being with a tribe. So what I'm trying to bring through, she's bringing it through. What I'm articulating here is that there is a lot of this going on right now because we're in isolation. Many of us are feeling like we are in isolation. And community and right alignment to right relationship. The Venusians have brought through this concept before, okay? There's a video and a message that they brought through that I'll link it up here, is incredibly important. And it doesn't have to be necessarily a physical, actual community that you have available to you. It can be a community like this, where you resonate with a certain channel, you resonate with certain teachings, you resonate with certain people, with souls that you see pop up, whether it's here on something like YouTube, or it's on another social media platform, or it's in something you read in a book, whatever it is. This is how we begin to feel less isolated, and this is how we begin to feel less alone, okay? The whole reason for me even starting to do this, and originally I started this on Instagram and then it moved to YouTube because the videos and the messages just started getting longer, is because I had this urge, this compulsion, really, to whoever was listening, to let them know that they're not alone, that they're not experiencing what I was, that they are not, that what they're experiencing is true, that what I was going through, I was there, I was willing to put it out there so that other people could feel that they weren't alone. Okay. This is also a big thing when it comes to redressing the divine feminine and the energies of the divine feminine. Okay? Here's the thing. What I am beginning to understand on this journey is we have 2 to 3 dimensional concepts when it comes to feminine and masculine, and those all serve a purpose. They do. When we look at yin and yang, and the white being the more masculine in the yin yang, principles of being focused and direct and all that, and the black being representative of the feminine, being more receptive, being the void. Those are all true, and they do serve a purpose or play a role, okay, is what I'm hearing. But we also have to remember that there are light and dark aspects of the masculine and the feminine, like the dots that you see in the yin-yang. And at the end of the day, they're not meant to remain completely separate from one another ever. And there can be white light aspects of the feminine within the feminine. And that's actually what she's showing me right now. If you look at the symbol of the yin-yang, right? We often will interpret, when you see the black part of that, as the feminine with the touch of the masculine being that white dot, when in fact it's the feminine in that spectrum, and vice versa. Okay, so this is going to be an ongoing thing that we will be addressing more in terms of the taboo messages that want to come forward, which I have not started yet, simply because I am still in the middle of a big physical transition right now, and my time and attention and energy has really been pulled in that direction for good reason, okay? And there is divine timing in all of that as well, is what Spirit has been guiding me towards, because trust me, the human aspect of me was like, there was this part of me that was more coming from the place of, what's the word, like the experience of having, being impatient around not getting on this yet. But I have just had so many things that I've needed to take care of in the physical, that Spirit was even like, you need to back up, girl. Relax, okay? You can't be all up in your masculine energy about this shit either. So I was like, okay. For someone who has been much more comfortable growing up and younger in my masculine energy, as a feminine, I have been much more comfortable in that masculine energy. But even Spirit has been guiding me to understand that there are these aspects within the feminine anyway, like the shield maiden, or the mama bear, the protectress. Hello, that's a whole other topic for discussion. So this fear of the feminine, this fear of the dark, is essentially a fear of the feminine. This is a message that has come through before. And that fear comes from the disjointed, dysfunctional ways in which we see the feminine through a distorted masculine lens as well, in the way that we have been historically here on Earth. And I mean that specifically in the 3D realm. I'm not speaking to Mama Gaia and her energy specifically. So what I wanted to bring through in terms of crystals for this message is this piece of black tourmaline and shungite, this beautiful little chunk of shungite right here. I'm also working with malachite here because I will be popping some cards from the Green Witch Tarot. Because what's really interesting about these energies, and specifically what Spirit and Mana Hekate are bringing through for this, is think of your black crystals. I'm also getting black moonstone coming through, which I don't... Do I have that to hand? I think I do here somewhere. Let me bring that in as well. But the whole purpose of these energies, which I think is really interesting... Where is she? Oh, you know what? I don't think I have her anymore. I think that I gave her to someone as a gift. Yeah. Black moonstone. Oh, okay. I'm being directed to actually share this merlinite with you. All right, let's see, because that might be something here that might be working to come into the energy of this reading. This piece of merlinite, which actually looks quite a lot like black moonstone or larvicite. Okay, am I wearing? I'm wearing it actually. Okay, so this piece that you see here is essentially larvicite, or what's referred to as black moonstone right here. Okay, this beautiful energy. So there you go, I had it already. This is what's been happening lately. Okay, so what's interesting about these crystals is that there's always some kind of transformative or transmutive quality to them when it comes to absorbing negative energies. Okay? Funny enough, how did that get there? I don't know why this is in front of me, the yellow calcite, but we're going to bring that in now as well, because again, this has to do with transmuting that into consciousness and a deeper understanding. The yellow calcite, I always find this a very joyful kind of crystal, but what she's bringing, she's really connecting it again to the solar plexus and this idea of our own willingness through the willpower center of the solar plexus to do this. Oh, wow. This is a lot. This is a way bigger message that I cannot cover. There's no way we're going to cover this in one video. But essentially, interesting that the merlinite comes through for this too, because this is again about alchemy. This is again about alchemy being magic, okay? The ability to transmute something is magic. That is what magic is. Okay, power, the ability to do that. And you know, the funny thing is that the other thing I'm getting with this is that, so, you know, everybody's like, oh, get black tourmaline, right? Oh, it's the best crystal for, by the way, this is an excellent crystal for empaths to work with. Again, there's an empathic energy that's coming through with this, right? In terms of the shielding that it creates, but the transmutation that it does create as well by taking on that energy and transforming it into something else. Because how do you then clear it? It's like there's an energy here of the feminine bearing the brunt of this. Like I'm seeing, like, where we just want to dump our shit. We just want to dump our shit. We don't want to look at it. We don't want to face it. It's too difficult. Just take it. The problem with that, and this is part of what the spiritual indoctrination shit is as well, because you're relying something external to yourself to bear the brunt of your own shadows, and negative energies, right? And you're not dealing with it. It's spiritual bypassing, essentially. That's what it is. And Mana Hekate does not spiritual bypass. The energies of Malachite are also incredibly transformative as well, okay? And incredibly grounding. So I'm just going to pop some cards from these channeled messages I have on behalf of Mana Hekate. She wants us to focus on a particular theme here, which is exactly what I'm going to bring through. And she's showing me the one that flipped at the bottom here. Find me in the willows. Find me where the acorns land. Find me in the willows. I hope you can read my writing. Find me in the willows. Find me where the acorns land. Okay. So what's interesting is she's also guiding me to read this. All that glitters is not always gold, and all that is gold does not always glitter. This goes back to the energy of discernment and in trusting in your own instincts and your own intuition, not your fears. Understanding that shadows and the energy of the shadow is a gift of transformation. With that gold, all that glitters is not always gold, and all that is gold does not always glitter. What I am getting with that specifically is the energy of transmutation and alchemy being gold. So taking lead and turning it into gold. If only more souls understood this at a deeper level, especially empaths is what she's showing me, especially those of us who get into this spiritual world with a very subconscious energy of spiritual indoctrination that within it encompasses a fear of the dark. And I'm hearing fear of the dark and fear of God, same fucking thing. I'm saying fucking thing, but anyway. If you hear, construction work going on around me, that's because I'm in a construction zone with this, where I'm living right now. Okay, so we're going to go straight to Carolyn Mace's archetype cards here. I have not worked with this deck in a very long time. It's interesting that right now, I don't know if you can hear that, there's a drill going in the wall behind me, and then I'm hearing a vacuum. So this literally, this is like, when you drill, what do? You go deeper. And also drilling in to secure something. And then the energy of the vacuum being kind of like a void is also part of that too. But it also makes a lot of noise, like it wants to be heard. So what is a vacuum doing? It's clearing things up. It's using the power of suction and air to do that. That's interesting. Take whatever resonates for that, okay? But the sound of it and the loudness of it is an indication that something is being cleaned up and needs attention, because it gets your attention. The sound of it gets your attention, okay? Student is coming up here in the light attribute. Humility and devotion to knowledge, openness to lifelong learning. And what I love about the image here is that this being, this soul, is in a tree, and there are books coming off of this tree. Is that what that is? Oh my God, put me there. I love that. Absolutely love that. So this is the energy of being the eternal student. When we are going through the rough patches, is what she's saying to me. and having a curious mind, as opposed to being drowned in the destruction, is what she's saying. We have to remember that Mana Ekati, Hekate, is a torchbearer. She's a light holder. That's what she does. She holds a light in the darkness. I'm getting also the Hermit energy and the tarot coming through for that, and the number 9. Interestingly enough, 3 is a number that is often associated with her, but so is 9. And that whole 369 is all connected very much to these goddess energies and the divine feminine. So what aspect? It's kind of like the whole maiden mother crone thing too, right? They are all one and the same. And there are cyclical qualities to that. And to remember to be a student of the cycles. So when you are at that low point of the proverbial wheel of fortune, let's say, or when you're riding that wheel and you're feeling a low point in the sense of feeling like you are in the dark or going down some kind of sadness, depression, spiral, okay? Where you're feeling those energies, where you're really feeling the into that darkness. Really what she's showing me is that the darkness is the uncertainty, but it's also this thing that we've attached to feelings like sadness or anger or shame or guilt, making them bad, okay? We've attached that meaning to it. And when we begin to attach a meaning to it, wow. We disempower ourselves in the experience of that and the experience of transmuting that, because again, it creates a bypass. It creates an energy of wanting to bypass this, to control it. Now, I want to make absolutely clear here that this does not mean you succumb to it in any way. We're not here for that, is what she's saying. Although she has a tremendous amount of compassion for those who really struggle with this, okay? But she really wants to shed light, literally, consciousness, on how this is fuel. This is... She's showing me the energy of like a thread. See it as a thread that's being woven into this tapestry of your life. And how you want that tapestry to look is entirely up to you. So how are you taking these energies and weaving this beautiful what is that tapestry? It's funny because I almost want to say trap. We fall into the trap of believing that these things are weaknesses, that these things are not good for us, when in fact they are lead to gold. It's like there's gold in the shit. Okay? I want a big disclaimer here, okay? I am not a doctor or giving some kind of medical advice. And I say that because at the end of the day, we are responsible for our own lives and the decisions we make and our own health in every aspect: mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. Okay? That's what she is all about. We've got Shapeshifter at the bottom of the deck and its light attribute. This is exactly what we are talking about. Skill at navigating through different levels of consciousness, ability to see the potential in everything, in every situation. Look at all the layers, the colors in this particular image. And the person that we're seeing here has their eyes closed and they are going within to understand this. This is, again, this is about being a student of shape-shifting. How do you do that? Which we will get to, is what she's saying. We can't cover all of this in one video. I'm going to ask now through the Green Witch Tarot. The energies of Mama Gaia coming through for this as well. Understanding too that Mana Hekate is also and has been interpreted as this kind of goddess, right? Connected to the different realms and worlds, just like Mama Gaia. Just like Mama Gaia has her different realms and worlds within her and deep within her, underground, right? Okay. Seeing the potential in everything. She really wants me to focus on that before I pop any cards. Okay. She wants to address the difference between the bypassing and the ability to see the potential in everything. Okay? So, bypassing is resistance to the energy that is popping up within you that you don't like for whatever reason. Essentially, it is those shadow energies, okay? The shadows that have, you know, from a psychological point of view, standpoint, Jungian psychology, right? It's the energy of the shadow that it's the part of us that that we judge. It's the part of us that we don't like. It's the part of us that we are critical of, that we are harsh of, when simply all it's trying to do is get our attention to something deeper going on and to look at it in that way very factually is how we begin to alchemize it, as opposed to packing it with emotion, packing it with judgment, packing it with criticism. She's bringing up the example of jealousy, okay? This is interesting. So you have a moment of jealousy come up because you see someone else doing something. Funny enough, she says it's about this is how you start, it's about you feeling bad about yourself, jealousy. That's really what it is. So as opposed to, you know, seeing it like this big thing, like, oh my God, I'm so jealous, like bad on me, I should be happy for this person. Let's reframe this in terms of looking at it like you're just feeling bad about yourself for some reason. And where does that come from? That comes from your own self-judgment around perhaps where you're at versus where that person is at. Okay? Now, there is nothing wrong with that, is what she's saying. What you could actually deem as wrong, if we really want to put it into that perspective, is the bypassing around that feeling. It's like if you're ignoring it or you don't want to face it, you're just allowing it to fester. And what resists persists. What also is wrong is, again, wrong, is acting from a place of that jealousy, feeling like you're justified in doing that. Okay? So acting from that shadow energy, projecting that shit on someone else, getting triggered and then projecting that crap out into the world, well, that's the energy you're going to get back, baby. Because if you're perpetuating that over and over again, you're literally doing it to yourself if you're doing it to someone else. Okay. And on that note, 2 cards just popped out once we got through that. My goodness. Okay. High Priestess is at the bottom of the deck. This beautiful energy of, again, is just this divine feminine energy. That what's beautiful about the depiction of this in this lovely, gorgeous deck that I absolutely love is that she's doing all of this by moonlight. She's doing this in the dark. She's alchemizing and transmuting energies in the dark. And she's got her beautiful familiar right next to her, right there. This is the energy of the shadow being transmuted, okay? Because we've got the Star and the 5 of Chalices coming out as well, okay? More energy of light in the darkness, right? In the High Priestess here, we have the moonlight. Again, divine feminine energies. The number 2. So this is also about relationship to self, which again, this is how we understand it, looking at it from a 3-dimensional perspective, right? It makes me think of Eckhart Tolle and The Power of Now, where that is exactly what prompted a spiritual awakening in him, because he said to himself, I cannot live with myself anymore. Who is the I and who is myself, right? Okay? But that is part of the experience here in the 3D, where we have this disjointed separation between I and myself and who am I, right? It's even in our language. How to transmute the sadness. 5 of Chalices, the sadness. What's really interesting is that I'm getting the energies here in this bunny, this hare. Okay, so there's this is crazy because this goes back to the energy of the trickster and the spectrum of the trickster in the bunny. And I'm going to find that video. I think it was the Green Fairy, and I'll link it here, where we talked a lot about that and how this is, again, a shape-shifting energy. This is an energy of transmutation, okay? The trickster energy, very often maligned within the constructs of a system where we don't deal very well with uncertainty. We don't deal very well with these shape-shifting energies. We would prefer to have things concrete, okay? In just black and white, when they're not, right? And it's really about becoming a student of this again, of really truly understanding and being open to how is this quote-unquote negative experience, this energy that I'm feeling, this darkness, how is it serving me? How am I able to transmute this? How am I able to simultaneously stand in a state of fully experiencing this and seeing it from every angle, from every aspect, as the vacuum goes, okay? Because it's crying for attention, and at the same time not completely succumb to it. How can I simultaneously feel into everything of this and simultaneously not succumb to it? What's interesting is what Mana Ekati is showing me is that that's exactly how it happens, because when you allow yourself to fully experience it, it actually does not last as long, and the vacuum just went off. This is the ultimate healing. And the star, being key 17, reduces to an 8, which is the energy of strength, which I'm also getting is the energy of alchemy. That's what it is. being very aware, because I'm hearing taming the beast, right? Being very aware of where these things come up and having respect and reverence for their power, as opposed to just being afraid of them, right? Or wanting to bypass them, but really respecting the power that they hold, so that you then yourself can face that with a degree of reverence for what you are experiencing. And I'm hearing, and then coming back to this light, coming back to this energy of understanding, of conscious understanding. That's what light is, okay? And yeah, I mean, I will say this time and time again, and this is, I think, where I'm going to close this reading out. I will say this time and time again, and I know people get real triggered when I say this, but darkness is not synonymous with evil. It is not synonymous with manipulation. It's not synonymous with everything that is bad and damned, is what I'm hearing. We have to understand that there is much more multidimensionality to the darkness and understanding the darkness. This is exactly the reason why we are here now at this time, incarnated here at this time. Within the darkness, there can be aspects, 100%, of what we call negative or what we deem bad, but it is not all of that. The same way that all that glitters is not gold. So all that seems beautiful and all that seems bright and shiny, I mean, insert Hollywood here, for fuck's sake, like, come on, okay? Or the things that we see as being exalted in this 3D realm, right? For the purpose of manipulation, they ain't gold. And all that is gold does not always glitter. So the shit that we need to sift through ain't glittery. But it serves a very important purpose in our growth. And it is something incredibly powerful that we have to work with. Especially if you are an empath and you feel like nobody's business. That's a topic for another discussion too. And another message that wants to come through. Okay. I'm going to end it there. Okay. So much of this is, again, she's pointing me back to the cyclical nature of this and the layers, this shapeshifter, all the layers, because when you add the high priestess, key 2, to the star, you get 19, and that equals a 10, okay? And that's, again, this energy of this cycle coming to a close. But it's not just about coming to a close, it's the cycle itself. It is that wheel of fortune. It's the 1 and the 0. It's the 1, you as an individual, the spark, within this void, within this world, within this realm. Okay? And it's not coming through here like a repetitive thing that we keep on going over and over and over again, because we are bringing awareness to it. Okay. I'm going to end it there. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you, beautiful soul, for sharing your time and your energy with us in this space. Thank you, Mana Ekati, Spirit, Mama Gaia, for coming through for these messages. The energy of the goddess, essentially, and the goddesses, and the feminine, the divine feminine. I am sending you all so much love wherever you are. Stay tuned for messages coming forward more frequently as I'm getting more settled in this space. Make sure that you hit that notification bell. I am not working with a particular schedule here, although, like I said, every 7 days we will have these confirmation messages coming through. But in terms of other messages, keep your eyes peeled, okay? All three. I'm sending you so much love wherever you are, in love and liberation always.